Good afternoon, Winnipeg. My name's Ashley Reese, and you're listening to The Diamond Lane on Winnipeg's Classic 107. All last week and yesterday, I've been talking to the Sopranos of Winnipeg in advance of Manitoba Opera and the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra's concert this coming Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Today, I am joined by one final Winnipeg soprano, Lara Secord-Haid. Lara, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Ashley.
So it's really, really exciting to see you on the Centennial Concert Hall stage. We were supposed to see you this spring in Manitoba Opera's production of Carmen. You're going to be Frasquita?
Yeah, Frasquita.
Yeah. Frasquita, yeah. Thank you.
No worries.
And so does that change what this concert means to you now?
You know, maybe in some subtle way. It's so interesting. Like, you kind of don't know what will come up when you're standing in the wings ready to go on. You can't predict what you'll be feeling, but I mean, as you know, I'm in such incredible company with this concert, as I was, of course, in Carmen. That was an incredible cast. I'm sure that you know that we were all gathered together for a week of rehearsals before the pandemic really hit and we all sort of were sent home. And that was an incredible group of artists too. And just each time you're gathered together and everybody is in that honed state of preparation, just trying so hard to do their best work and to inspire and help your colleagues to do their best, to bring their best to the table too. Like, it's just such a magical place to be. And yeah, each group has its own special magic. I'm very excited for this one. Lots of feminine energy. It's thrilling.
So what was your debut with Manitoba Opera?
Oh, the first show I did with Manitoba Opera was Fidelio.
I was wondering if that was it. That was the first time I saw you.
Oh,
the first Manitoba Opera show I saw. So that was fantastic. And what character were you in Fidelio for our audience who might not have been so lucky?
Yeah.
Wonderful. And you've been on the stage a few times since. Do you have any particularly memorable memories with the company?
I absolutely loved the production of Werther we did a few years ago. I got to sing Sophie, the little sister. And again, that was a tremendous group of people, of artists. And that music, like Massenet, is just so intoxicatingly beautiful. And so you just never get tired of hearing that show. And when it's time to say goodbye, it's very sad to say goodbye to that music.
Of course. Was Sophie's aria something that had always been in your package, something that you had prepared for a long time, or did you learn it for the show?
I think I had learned it, but it wasn't a thing that I performed that often. Right. I had definitely learned it at some point. And so it wasn't completely new to me. Of course, everyone's heard Charlotte's aria from that show because it's so gut-wrenchingly beautiful. Yeah.
Sophie's just a character of like light and positivity. So that's a great aria too.
But she's like, the balance of Sophie is that she's also had to take on a lot of responsibility, you know, so the lightness of her character shows a lot of strength.
It's something that we see in soprano characters so often, is that roundness where, you know, a good soprano like yourself can dig deep and find all that depth of the character. And it's something that we're going to see on Saturday night with all 7 of you. I know, I'm excited for that. Now, you have been doing some performing during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm talking to you in Victoria, right?
Back in Vancouver now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, was just in Victoria. Yeah.
So what would you say are the differences between performing for a digital audience and an in-person audience? Is there a different way you prepare or a different frame of mind that you get into on stage?
To be honest, I'm still sorting that out myself. I think a lot of us are trying to figure out. um, I think we've all experienced the sort of Zoom fatigue, or even just so much of our human interaction is happening through a screen right now. And I think that performing arts is no different, that um, we're all sort of asking ourselves, how do we create digital content that is engaging, that um, with as high production values as we possibly can, and so that the singing sounds good and true. And that means really considering your microphone setup and really considering the room, because the room is its own microphone, and really considering how your files are being compressed. Like, these are things that we weren't thinking so much about before. And we think about this a lot now. So I think it's quite different, and it's a learning curve. We're all sorting our way through. You can certainly get sort of tied up in knots in it, because you're not singing to people physically present in the room. And so it makes it really easy to get into your head.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Now, you are in Vancouver right now. You've
Mm-hmm.
spent a considerable amount of time in New York. That's where you did your master's, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
So where is home for you technically right now?
Well, that's a really good question. Winnipeg is always home. Like, every time I'm coming back to Winnipeg, I say I'm going home. Winnipeg
Right.
is very much home. Um, I I had been living for sort of a year in Toronto to see if I liked living there, and but once the pandemic hit, I hadn't been there at all. I came out to Vancouver, um, and it was so interesting. I have never spent much time in Vancouver before, but to be out here when everything was so quiet, to be in a new city when the city isn't acting like itself, was fascinating. Um, so yeah, I'm spending more and more time in Vancouver. My partner's here, and Winnipeg is always home.
So how much time will you spend in Winnipeg this winter? Do you know?
Well, it's sort of, I feel like we're taking one day at a time.
Okay, fair
You know?
enough.
I don't know. I don't know. But I hope quite a bit, because just people that I just love so dearly are in Winnipeg, and I think, like all of us, we're just so wanting to see those people that are near and dear.
Of course. Now,
Yeah.
thinking back to winters past where you have been in Winnipeg, what are the best Winnipeg winter activities to keep you
Oh,
busy?
I just love skating the river. I think it's so much fun. To this day, I have never been to a Festival de Voyageurs. I know. I've tried several times. But that is on my wish list to do, of course. Any kind of a day where it's not too cold to go for a walk and just be in the snowy wonderland that Winnipeg can be is terrific. And then just warm gatherings inside with family and friends. These are my favorite things about Winnipeg.
So here's a hot, controversial question for you.
Uh-oh.
What is too cold to be outside for a walk? Like, what is your temperature where you cut it off, you're staying inside?
That depends on what gear you
Okay.
have available. um, if you've got all the gear you need, I'd say, like, if any skin that has to be exposed, like for example your eye area, you have to be able to see where you're going. If it's painful, I'm not gonna do it. Like, I'm just, no. I also am always cold, so.
Yep. I hear you there. I've had some listeners phone in to tell me that it is ill-advised for me to already be wearing my parka, which I'm not this week because it's
Okay,
13 above today,
I've
but I
heard.
have brought it out already because we have experienced some cold temperatures. And they say, if you're wearing a parka now, you're in trouble later.
You know what? I think the fall, the slow, like, trudge towards really cold weather prepares you.
Yeah.
But at this stage in the game, you're not supposed to be acclimatized to -35. At this stage, your body's still acclimatized to fall weather. So I don't think it's unreasonable. You have to stay warm.
Some compassion from Lara
Yeah,
Secord-Haid.
there
We're going
you
to have you on the show more often. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Lara. It's been so lovely to talk to you. We are so excited for the return of opera to Winnipeg on Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. Make sure you get your tickets. We've got a link at classic107.com, so you can do that there. And you can catch the rest of the interviews with the 6 other sopranos. Have a
Thanks,
wonderful
Ashley.
day, Lara. And yeah, we're looking forward to it so much.
Me too.